Hello, beautiful humans. Welcome to another episode of Feeling Free. Today's episode is with Helen Hall, founder of Blender Bombs. But this conversation is a dive into the fear of failure and the fear of making mistakes, but it is a beautiful reframe. There's so many of us who are caught in that fear of not being able to make a mistake, and Helen does a great job illustrating of how mistakes are actually a good thing. And we also dive into spirituality, energetics, spiritual moments and breakthroughs that she's had in her life, and even just some fun things of the one time that she ran into Emma Watson at a smoothie or coffee shop. So this is a really cool and fun, enlightening, all the aspects of the human experience conversation. I'm excited. If you haven't already, please make sure you subscribe, like it, leave a comment, let us know, and even take a screenshot and share and tag us on Instagram that you are watching on YouTube. I would appreciate it. All right, y'all, without further ado, let's get into it. Helen, how are you? Thank you for being here. Just
Yeah, I'm doing good. I'm actually in Atlanta right now.
mhm,
I'm doing great because I just was on a 5-day boat cruise in Antigua.
mhm.
And I think I could live on a boat. It was the most magical vacation of my life,
Really, the best one?
for sure. Because
Wow.
I'm with like my best friends. I'm with seven of my best friends. We're on a boat, so like we're contained, we're not finding other like vices or whatever to distract us or, going
Mm,
out and partying to distract us. Like we actually bonded and there was a private chef and so
amazing.
we had 3 meals a day made for us with local Caribbean food. It was
Oh,
prime.
that's perfect. It sounds to me like an accidental retreat, basically.
Yeah, totally. And the best part is it was free because one of the girls that I went with got a promotional deal with them and she was able to take like seven of her friends.
That's
And so
amazing.
all we had to do was pay for our flights. So maybe that's why it was the best trip ever.
No, but private chef on a boat with the homies, that sounds so good.
I know.
Um, I'm excited for you for being here. So I want to start this off by telling you how I found Blender Bombs. Let's do that.
Yeah,
So this was 2000. Well, when did you start the company? What year?
2017.
Okay. So I moved what? So beginning of 2019, I moved to upstate South Carolina for a job. So I was recruited, accepted the job, and this was like the precursor to one of the most difficult, like definitely the most difficult year of my life, but it was happened perfectly. Like it prepared me and like catapulted me. You know how like the cheesy quote of like an arrow can't be like launched forward until it's pulled back. That's exactly
Yeah.
like what was happening.
South Carolina will do it to you.
Yeah, and I actually went back
Okay.
a month ago to like reflect on all that different thing. But anyway, I was in South Carolina, so there was a local store that they were like advertising it. You know, they had it like on the display. It was showcased, and I was like, "Oh, that looks dope." And I'm a fiend like smoothies. I have one every single day. So it's like, "Oh,
Yes.
this looks awesome." So I was like, "Oh, let me go try these," and I love them. And something just different about it has always resonated with me. But I wanted to tell you, and then since then, um, you've gifted some product for retreats, and people have loved them at like my retreats. And so, with all of that said, I'm curious, and I know you've told the story, but I don't know in its entirety. And we're gonna get into some deeper things here from this, I know. But how did you first like get the blender bomb idea?
Okay. So it just like hit like a ton of bricks.
Hmm.
Have you read the book Big Magic?
Yes.
Okay, so you know how they talk about how there's like these ideas floating around everywhere, and when they come to you, you can either, take action on it or not, and it'll go to someone else.
Yes.
I really do think it was one of those instances, but I had been making basically like deconstructed blender bombs ever since I was in college because I gained
Mhm.
30 pounds when I was in college and struggled to lose it just because I had binge eating episodes a lot. I loved chocolate.
Mhm.
And I just the whole like keto, paleo, vegan, 100% vegan. I just did every fad diet possible, cabbage soup diet, military diet, 1,200 calories a day. I did all that. And none of them would work long term. And I
Mhm.
started working with my physician just about binge eating in particular and sugar cravings. And he gave me a list of like just different, all the nuts and seeds to try and put in my smoothie every day to get a
Hmm.
variety of nutrients, just like complete plant diversity. And every essential amino acid, every essential fatty acid, omega 3s, like everything I was missing that was leading a lot to cravings. And so I started putting those in my smoothies, changed my life, really changed my life after like a week of doing it. Became a personal trainer after college, trying to get my clients to make the same smoothie recipe I made in college. They would not because it took like 15 minutes. So then the idea just literally came into my head one day when I was in my apartment. Like, why don't I just take all these ingredients, put them in a bowl, get some dates and a little bit of natural honey, mix it all together, figure out what size the ball needs to be to have the right proportions in one ball. And so I love math, like obsessed with math. So
Ah,
I
cool.
did all the calculations real quick and went to Costco, bought the ingredients, made the ball, put it in my smoothie, and I was like, holy shit, this is actually really good and gave it to my clients. And then it just kind of started growing from there organically.
So, so I'm happy you told that, but it sounds so simple, and I believe it is more
Mhm.
simple than we make it. But there's so much to that story. So like, so why did you? Because I like actually how you brought up the book Big Magic, because that actually talks a lot about fear in that book. Like
Oh,
the
yeah, I have a lot to say about fear.
Oh, really? Well, let's just go. What do you have to say? Because that's, of course, my wheelhouse.
So, yeah, of course. And so this is a big part of my story too, is my brother is a year and a half older than me. So he's 29 and he has learning disabilities, but he has
Mhm.
very high functioning learning disabilities. You might not even know that he has learning disabilities until you realize he doesn't stop talking and you're like, wait, something's off. um, But so growing up, it would be little things like he just would forget to shut the door. Like he would just never shut the door. And no matter how many times we would ask him to shut the door, like he just won't shut the door. You know, you have to be behind him and shut the door. Or he'll leave the oven on. Just very ADD, nothing you can do to help it really.
Mhm.
And so in my household, it was such a safe place to make mistakes and
Ooh.
to so my every time I would make a mistake or do something wrong or not do something that I was asked to do, like it was just so much grace. And my parents would not reprimand me. They would more like educate me on why I needed to do it instead of like getting mad at me for not doing something or forgetting to do something or doing something wrong. So my brother did a lot of stuff wrong and I would do a lot of stuff wrong, but I was never berated for it. And so I never developed this like fear of rejection or
Mm.
fear of failure from my household growing up. And
Helen, I
that
love
is
this.
why I know, right? It's crazy. And I didn't even realize this until I think it was 6 months ago. I was recording a podcast and they were asking me something similar. And I was like, oh my God, that's where it's from. Because I never
Mm.
thought about it. I just did. I just take
Mhm.
action. I never reflected on why I was able to take action without being scared to fail.
I love that so much. How many siblings do you have?
Just him.
Okay, perfect. Because yeah, I wonder. Because I mean, some parents obviously you got to treat every kid differently because they're an individual. But I love how they also applied that method to you, which I think is rare because a lot of parents, of course, I imagine like every household is not perfect, but they could have just lost their shit. You know what I mean? And like tried to be more perfect. I've seen that with people I've worked with. That is usually what happens is they develop a perfectionism, which is the fear of never being good enough, which you would never allow yourself to fail or make a mistake. And I love this so much that you actually it was encouraged. So did they
Hmm.
actually like tell you to do it, or you were just it was naturally just like you felt their energy and their love and like support in that way?
I think it was more natural. Like I can't tell you there's only one time where they ever like had to sit me down and be like, don't do this. And it
Mm.
was when I lied about something and when I cheated on a test.
Ah, cool.
But other than that, like anytime I would have an idea, they if I was like, I want to make this necklace, my dad would be like, get in the car, we're going Hobby Lobby. Or if I'm
Mm.
like, I want to make this purse, my mom's like, here's all the supplies for the purse. Any sort of creativity thing, they totally encouraged. They didn't encourage, they were kind of strict about like who I hung out with, which was annoying growing up. And I still have mixed feelings on that. But at the end of the day, whatever they did worked. But yeah. So also my brother is high functioning enough to know that like he's not normal, I guess is the right word.
Mm.
Like he does have disabilities, so he knows that he's different. And
Mhm.
if my parents treated me differently than him, he would call them out for it.
Mm.
So it's almost like he was an accountability person for them.
I love that.
Hmm.
So, okay, this is so cool. So, like when you were, I'm curious now, and we might work backwards. So, do you ever have a thought about like the business failing or not
No,
working?
literally never.
Wow, Ellen, this is
It's
amazing.
magical. I know.
It is magical. Yeah.
And I've had business, like I've had other things fail, but it's like on to the next. Like that Ariana Grande song, Thank You Next.
Do you know? Yeah, so I know you said you might have realized this like 6 months ago, but do you really know how magical this is though?
Mm-mm, I do
Okay,
not.
well, I'm gonna really hype you up and like blow that air and the burr 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 burr, you know what I mean? It's just because
Go
it
for it.
really is just, and for me, of course, I'm biased and I see so much of this, but it's true for everyone. Especially what I've seen in women, right? Um, is, and I work with men too, but it's different, but meaning like the whole rejection piece, and it's like we're trying to be so perfect that we really never allow ourselves a mistake, because you just like assign this black and white forever, like heavy, just lingering belief that literally if you fail once, it means that you're a failure forever. So, so you never think about it. That's crazy. So do you, if you ever make a quote unquote mistake, I imagine you don't linger on it. How do you learn from it? How do you lead your team? I'm just curious. Do you just
I
kind of
always
brush it
admit
off?
my mistakes. No, I
Mm.
always like vocalize them. And with what we were talking about before this call, like that's one of the things that I was talking with one of my coworkers about is like if you make a mistake, you just admit to it, and that's 1,000 times better than like trying to cover something up because we're all human. Like it would be insane for a leader in any capacity to like think that no one's going to make a mistake, you know? You just do. Everyone makes mistakes. It's expected. But you just have to own up to it, but also you have to be able to just put systems in place to not do it again. So if you know who he is, Aubrey Marcus, of course.
Hmm.
He, I think a recent podcast I listened to of his was talking about the universe and like the universe conspiring to help you. And I do
Yep.
believe that that's what happened with me with blender bombs, but it's not because I was like, what I said sounded simple. It wasn't just like, oh, one day I had this idea to make blender bombs and then it just freaking blew up. No, it was like every day I was putting in so much work for personal development. Like I was putting in hours and hours and hours of personal development every day in between training sessions. Like, and I think that what Aubrey Marcus said resonated with me is like if the universe or whatever you believe in sees you putting in the work and sees you trying, they'll make it happen for
Mm.
you. And so I just know that if I put hustle into something and I actually like put my heart in it and my time in it and the systems in place, like, and it's meant to be, it'll work. But there's been several businesses that have failed. So like we tried a meal prep service and that failed.
Mm.
And I'm not gonna like, I wasn't scared that it would fail, but I noticed like, wow, we're not profitable. And it's been like 2 months,
Mm.
I can either waste more money into it until it becomes profitable, or I can just pull it and stick with what is profitable, which is the smoothie bar, you know? And then same thing with like the smoothie bar. One time we tried to make it a marketplace instead of just a smoothie bar, and that didn't
Mm.
work. Like people are going to go to Whole Foods or Costco. They just are.
Mm.
And so you just change your business model. You just adjust. It's not it's not failure, I guess it's just adjustment.
Yeah, this is really cool. There's so many things in here. Like it's just adjustments. Do you take So I'm curious, do you take anything personal?
Yeah, of course I do. With if I hurt someone, that if
Uh-huh.
I like upset someone or like hurt someone's feelings, that kills me. I don't
Mm,
necessarily take it personally, but it kills me. So, for instance, we filmed with Shark Tank
mm,
and we didn't get an investment from them, but like I didn't take that personally at all, because I think as long as you have closure about something and you ask why it's a no, like then there's no reason to take it personally.
mm-hmm. And then you mentioned earlier about hustle. I'm curious because, like anything, when you're starting something, right, is you are going to put a lot of time and effort and energy. And to me, that's just all an investment, right? Of It's all the above. It's money, it's time. Did you ever dislike it, or were you always, even with all that time and effort, did you enjoy it?
I always enjoyed it. And immediately when I did start feeling annoyed by whatever task I had to do, that's when I knew like it was time to hire someone to take over that task.
Mm,
It's just like with coworkers, if or employees, I guess, but like if there's someone that you're not vibing with or that the team isn't vibing with, like you got to cut the cord because you don't want resentment to build up.
mm-hmm. So this is this is rare, um, because with the whole quote unquote hustle mentality, right? It's like what it comes off as is that you need to do things that you hate forever.
I know. That's why I hate the name Hustle for the smoothie bar. I really do. I didn't pick
Really?
that name. Yeah.
So so are you gonna change it or just leave it?
I don't know. I gotta think about it. It's already such a brand that it'd be like hard to change it, but also the girl who did pick the name doesn't work with us anymore, so I could change it. I just don't know.
I love how you just openly just like admit that though. It's like you literally have a whole like smoothie bar and locations with this name, and you say you don't like it.
I don't,
Yeah.
because of exactly what you're saying is triggering.
Mm. So I love this because when you see that name, it's like, oh, like Helen, and like the Hush Up and Hustle, like all that type of thing, right? So I love getting clarification on this because it seems like you do operate within a lot of enjoyment and ease and like just enjoying the entire process and being joyful about it. So what is your mindset and like perspective of just like the whole triggering, like you got to grind until you die, whole mentality?
Oh no, 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 no. We don't do that. So Hush Up and Hustle, like I guess that was for everyone listening, that was what the brand was at the very beginning before we
Mm-hmm.
changed it to like Blender Bombs. And it was like my Instagram name for a little bit before I got tired of it. But Hush Up and Hustle sounds like, and I understand the confusion for a lot of people, it sounds like shut up and put in the work.
Yeah.
But really, it's like hush up, take a nap, and hustle. It's
Mm,
like both. But I operate in the what's it called? Parasympathetic nervous system all the time. I
yes.
really do. I don't do things that stress me out for the
Uh,
most part.
So this is good. You're very chill.
So chill.
This
I
is
so chill.
this is cool.
I
Does that
probably
surprise
shower
people?
like once a week. Yeah, it does. It surprises people once a week. But to me, chill is like laying in my bed and looking at my computer for 8 hours straight and just knocking shit out
Mm. Do you know
that
your
I like
human
doing.
do you know your
Yes,
human design?
projector.
Oh, okay. I
Most,
love
does that
what's
make sense now?
yeah, so that's what I am too.
Most people who are entrepreneurs or have podcasts are projectors, straight up.
Mm-hmm.
Most influencers are projectors.
Yeah, it's
I just want to tell other people
interesting.
what to do.
Well, it's both because we observe, we see things differently.
Yeah, totally. We do. We are birds in the trees and we see the big
Yes.
picture. And that's why, like, it's easy for me to, what's the right word? delegate. It's very easy for me to delegate. That's why I don't get stressed out, because if I notice something stressing me out, I'll delegate it to someone else who's better equipped to handle it, or it comes naturally too.
That's so interesting. Do you know who else is a projector?
Emma Watson.
Is she?
Yeah,
Oh, I love
I
that too.
met her
That makes sense.
actually.
You met
I
her?
met her and we talked about human design. Isn't that crazy?
What? When was
I met
this?
her I met her at a smoothie bar in Big Sur. It was three people in the entire smoothie bar, and she sat right next to me. And she was talking about something, and I butted in and was like, "Hey, do you know what human design is?" And she was like, "Actually, I just got back from a 4-day human design retreat in Sedona."
What?
And I was like, "Well, I know you're a projector." But so am I. Um,
Wow.
and I'm trying to think of who else. Actually, so my first four hires were all projectors, and I didn't even know it.
Wow.
Hmm.
That's interesting. I was gonna say Kanye West.
Oh my God, such a projector. Just
Hmm.
the boss telling people what to do.
That's so interesting. That's cool. I love that. So it's with like your superpower, like your like superpowers. It's like for me, I love this because I am just like getting to know you, and that's
Mm.
what like people listening, and that's really what it is like getting like to know you and all that fun stuff. What is another thing that like people? What's something that when people come to work for you, like what are they surprised about with you
I think they're
personally?
just surprised about the grace and like not having fear. Like the same environment I grew up in with my house, like I try to create that environment with
Mm.
the team as well, that like just a 0% chance that I'll ever be mad at something that you did, you know?
Cool.
Because honesty is like what's important, and everything can be fixed. And at the end of the day, like we're a company that sells freaking nuts and seeds. Like, what are we gonna do? You know? I would be happy living in an RV park in Austin if something was to
Mm.
ever happen. But I think another thing that surprises people is I don't exercise very much. Like I do
Mm.
10 minutes a day of body weight workout. Even though I used to be a personal trainer, I got burnt out from it. And it like,
Mm.
I don't know. Sometimes I do it. If I'm about to like go on a vacation, I'll work out maybe like twice a week for a little bit. But another thing that surprises people is I rarely shower and I rarely wash my hair. But like I hate getting wet. I hate water.
Really?
I hate it. I use like body wipes twice a day, but I hate being cold.
Mm. So you definitely you're not a fan of the cold plunge life.
Mm-mm. Couldn't pay me to.
That's funny.
I'm a fan of fasting and like other stimulating
Hmm.
situations, but cold plunge, it's not gonna be for me. And also, I don't know if this is true, but I read somewhere that the more that you get your hair wet, like this could totally be a lie. I'm probably just like spewing lies. But the more that you get your hair wet, it expands and contracts your hair follicles, and it leads to hair thinning.
Hmm.
And I have good hair. I have thick hair. I actually used to wear hair extensions in college. And
Uh-huh.
then when I changed my lifestyle and started incorporating like the smoothies, my hair texture completely changed. It's like mind
Uh,
blowing.
that is very interesting. Like so with so to finish, I didn't really finish my thought about like the like superpower stuff. So to me, it seems a somewhat fearlessness with like not afraid of mistakes or rejection. And to me, that's what comes into like adaptability. And I just relate that into my own life is that it's it's like yeah, I never it's just like if something quote unquote fails, it's like okay, and it's just like immediately to the next thing, right? But there's so many people, and I'm happy that we're talking about this right now because I'm actually launching a course for coaches, creators, and healers. So the leaders, the visionaries, the teachers, entrepreneurs, whatever, who are not doing the thing or saying the thing or being the thing because of fear of blank or fear of whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I'm just trying to break this down because this really does it's foreign to a lot of people, and I love hearing about your background. But is there anything that you do worry about like with the business? Because I love how you said even if it fails, quote unquote, you'll be fine with that. And I think that's such a powerful place that actually makes you more abundant. And even with money, like you
Yeah.
become even more powerful with money if you're not afraid to lose it.
Yeah. So the other thing is, I also, I say if something doesn't work, like it's just on to the next, but I try literally everything before I go to the next. Like I
Mm,
try everything possible, and if it still fails, that's like with relationships,
mm.
Girls have this problem a lot. They try literally everything, and if it still doesn't work, and it's like normally the guy has to end things with the girl is usually what happens because girls just have that naturally where they don't want to give up and they're very loyal. But then same thing with like business. I don't fear, I really don't because I just know that there's always solutions. Financially, if we get into a bind, I can bring on capital
Hmm.
because at the end of the day, like I've done everything honest. I've done everything like I haven't done anything wrong or illegal. Like there's nothing that would stop someone from wanting to
Uh-huh.
inject capital in the business. So the only thing I do worry about is like finances because it's so expensive to grow and we haven't brought on any investors yet. But I also know that if I need that one day, which I'm sure I will, then we can get it.
That's impressive. You've had zero investors so far.
Right. Yeah, we started with $300. Isn't that nuts?
It's I just thought of the best dad joke. That's nuts and seeds.
Oh my God, that was a good one. Good job. Good job. Props.
Props. So you started. That's crazy. So so has it just been like the revenue that you've made and just reinvesting?
Saving every penny. I saved so much the first year, and it was just me. And so I saved. And then we just started working with a group for like a line of credit, like a revolving line of credit
Hmm.
for POs and just to help us fund POs and like retailers because that's where it gets expensive to grow. But yeah, we've done it all, the smoothie bar, everything. We reinvested money into the smoothie bar and like the smoothie bar is a wholesale account for Blender Bombs. It's a separate LLC, but sales, so Blender Bombs makes money from the smoothie bar and then the smoothie bar makes money from Blender Bombs. And
Hmm.
the goal is to franchise that one day. That's like probably going to be a while. I thought it was going to be quicker than it was, but I'm trying to just focus my energy on Blender Bombs.
Hmm.
Um, and then, yeah, it's all been just reinvesting. And I just try to
Interesting.
really save though. Like I still don't spend much money. I go through waves, but I really don't spend much money.
That's interesting. And this question just popped up into my mind. Um, this is really good. Like, I love, and this is part projector life and part just like your uniqueness of just doing things differently. And like, you don't have to, because so many people think it's like you have to do business this one way or be happy this one way or be a relationship one way or so many different things.
Hmm.
So, how do you view, one day with like, this is, I guess, kind of like a two-part question because with women who start businesses, I it's such like a mix, and I've seen this trend. It's where it's like they don't know, like they want to be feminine, but they want to have a business, and it's like they want to be a mom, and it's like so I have my mindset. It's like you can be all everything as long as it's aligned with you. But what is your mindset with like being feminine but owning a business and like doing all the things?
So I think I have a good balance for the most part, but
Hmm.
like the good balance is with relationships, I love when the other person is in charge.
Yep.
Like because I spend all day
Hmm.
making decisions and telling people what to do and like working, but when it comes to the relationship, I want to be led.
Oh, Helen, you literally okay. Keep going. You just said the words out of my mouth.
Yeah, I
Hmm.
want to be led and but like I know that my weaknesses that I've had that I don't know why I have these. Maybe I need to look into it. But I tend to have you ever read the book? it's like an attachment book, like anxious attachment, secure attachment, and avoidant attachment.
Yeah, it's called
So
Attached.
yeah, attach. So
Hmm.
I'm like 90% secure. But then there's one part of me that constantly wants to repeat myself, and like say it 5 different ways to make sure that I get 100% of the point across.
Mm.
And that's so annoying. But like I always do that. So that's where that is like a dragon, I guess. But that's a kind of a masculine thing that I do. It bothers me that I do it because like it would bother me if someone did it to me. I'm like,
Oh,
I
that's
get it. I get it the first time. I'm just choosing not to take action on it, you know?
mm, that's cool. And I love hearing from you as like as an example because there's so much talk and knowledge about it, but it's like you are actually, having the business and doing the thing. And so it's cool to hear it's like you can do both and it's like whatever you want to practice and embody that you can do. Um, so with repeating yourself, that's just you, so that's in relationships in the masculine feminine dynamic, or is that in other things?
I think it's in several things. It's like, yeah, I think it's with like with the business too. Like if I want the team to do something or like think a certain way, I'll just like repeat it over and over again, like several times over the course of 2 or 3 months. And just to make sure, triple, quadruple, 5 times check, everyone understands, you know?
Hmm. Well, why?
But
I mean, so why is that bad?
because I know I'm doing it out of fear of people not listening, even though they are.
Boom. So yeah. So what if they don't listen?
We move on. Or I repeat it another way, or I look into why no one's listening.
Yeah. Like, so what is the fear? Like, if they don't listen, what happens?
Nothing. Just like want them to listen. And they do. Like I don't have any issues with the team. They always listen, you know? So there's no need for me to be repeating myself, but they always listen. I mean,
Interesting.
I can think of like 2 mistakes that people have made, and that's it.
That's impressive. Yeah. So it's like why you repeat yourself. I mean,
I
it's
know.
to me, it's not even a bad thing, and it might be worse than like what I'm perceiving.
It's worse in relationships than the team.
Mm, okay. So you're repeating themselves because like you want them to do the thing.
Or to change, which like that's not up to me.
Okay. So it's so I assumed it was this, but it's controlling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Badgering.
Battery. Uh-huh. Yeah, I mean it makes sense, right? It's like I mean it's not a completely bad thing. It's like of course you want things to go well and go your way. But the ironic thing is like when you try and to me and what I've seen, and especially for you of like it seems like you one of my mantras that I use is like I take aligned action and let the outcome surprise me. So it seems like you really I love how you read so many books. Have you read the book Surrender Experiment?
But I will.
You'll love this one. So
Okay.
do you know Michael Singer?
Yes.
So the Untethered Soul. So it's like a spiritual adventure book for an entrepreneur. So essentially, he just surrenders to anything that the universe gives him. Right, the whole concept of what you said before about the universe is
Oh, I
conspiring.
need that. Yeah.
So it's like literally, he just says yes, even if it's things that he doesn't want. Like it's crazy how he starts with he's like a hippie in Florida with a van, and then he grows to be a CEO of like this tech company,
So cool.
and he never had like a goal. It was
I
all
didn't have
just
a goal either.
so. Oh, Helen, talking about that because that's such another business thing. And if
Oh my
like,
God, I've never made a business plan in my life.
oh man, talk about this. This is good.
I do believe I'm like that too. Like I just go with my intuition on most things, not all of them, because like what we were talking about before this call, like I know what my intuition says, but sometimes I fight back on it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but with business stuff, I don't try to force things a lot. And I never had a goal. Like the goal was never to make money. It was like to help people, you know? And I still don't have a business plan. I don't think I'll ever have a business plan. Someone else can do that. Um, but I also don't like, and maybe I'm wrong for this, but a lot of successful people will write down their to-do list and write down their goals every day. And I've never been one to do that. I just,
Never, never ever.
I mean, I would like try it for a little bit and then stop.
Mm.
But even my to-do list is just I email myself something to do and I mark it as in red until it's done. But I keep a running list in my head about what's the most important things to do and then or like what I need to do. But I only remember the important things. So it works out.
That's
But
so
it also
interesting.
because I tried the writing to-do list. I never got anything done. I never finished it. I just always did what was most important.
That's so how this is fascinating because with all these things, how have I imagine with the personal development, the business courses, like the advice that you've gotten, they probably will say like, Helen, like you need capital. Helen, you need to do it this way. Helen, you need to have a business plan, right?
All the time.
So how have you stayed true to yourself?
Because I believe that if I did those other stuff, the business would grow quicker, but I would also be stressed and I would be on someone else's timeline. And I would not wake up every day excited to work because I would know that like I would have the pressure of having to pay someone back.
Mm. So it seems you value and like enjoying the process a lot.
Yes. In order for us to have, I would have to replace myself as CEO if we needed capital and got that in there, which I would be happy to do, you know, but I'm not going to be the CEO if we have capital because I don't want that responsibility. I'll stick,
Mm.
I'll move to like a marketing position, which I
This is
like.
this is cool. It seems like you just know yourself.
I do. I know what I like, and I don't spend time on things I don't like doing. And so cooking is one of those things, for example. Like I hate
Mhm.
cooking. I do not enjoy the process of cooking. The outcome is not good. I am so perfectly happy eating a frozen meal or going out to eat and like supporting local.
Mm. And it's like again, so it's just another thing where it's like this is something that you're supposed to do. It's a whole perfectionism, control culture. It's like you have to do everything this way. And if it's not you, then it's like you beat yourself up to try and be the thing, but then you still don't feel good enough, even if you are perfect, because that's not really you. So it's like it's an endless cycle of never feeling good enough. So I'm curious for like being 28 and so like grounded. Why? I'm
So much personal development.
so
I mean,
how
I was
much
reading, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, yeah, how much is you, how much is learned?
Oh, it's all learned. I
Mm.
was a bitch in high school. I was not a nice person. I was
Uh-huh.
literally, I wouldn't be friends with myself, though I was in high school. And in college, like after high school, actually, this is a really weird experience, but I'll tell you. So
Mm-hmm.
when I was the summer before going into college, um, I grew up in high school, like going to a church camp. Did the whole organized religion thing. And that's not what aligns with me now, but I tried it. And I would go to camp every summer, really just like for the cute boys, the church boys. And then the summer before college, I went and I had to be a counselor. It was the first time being a counselor. So it was the first time I ever paid attention to like sermons and the Bible and like what the words in the Bible were saying. And after I think it was like the second or the third day, and we were singing worship songs in the camp room or whatever. And I swear I felt like something slapped me across the face. I started bawling, crying. I had to leave by myself.
Mm.
And I was like, what the fuck just happened? Because whatever happened, like my brain did a 180 within a second about the way that I thought about like life and the world and people and myself. It did a complete 180. Like before I had a lot of hate and a lot of
Mm.
jealousy and a lot of like controlling. And then in a minute that was gone. And I started diving into, you know, the Bible and religion. I love the Bible. I think it's an awesome book. I've had trouble
Mm-hmm.
with a lot of the organized religion places that I've been affiliated with that I didn't vibe with. They didn't feel good. So
Mm-hmm.
then I started like diving into personal development and spirituality, and it aligns with me 100%.
Mm-hmm.
And so in college, I switched from, I was a young life leader and all that stuff. Loved it. It was great sometimes. But then I switched to like just working on myself. and reading personal development books. And I've been doing that since college, and that has changed me completely as well. It just kind of led me. Like I never had a mentor, like a life mentor. And my parents are role models, but they weren't mentors per se. And so that whatever books I read, like those are my mentors.
That's cool. So have you ever have like a business mentor or anything like that now?
Yeah, I have business mentors now. I don't really have like life mentors yet.
Cool.
Podcasts. I mean, I listen to podcasts
Uh-huh.
like your podcast, stuff like that.
Hmm.
And if something aligns with me, I keep listening.
That's cool. And yeah, it's interesting. So why I'm asking all of this is, I mean, I'm interested. That makes sense. It's like, why else would I be asking? But it's just, I'm just relating it a lot to me, right? I mean, of course there's differences, but I feel like there is, so back to the spirituality piece, like I believe it's like we come down for a purpose. Like we've agreed to come do the thing, but we still have free will to choose, right? And to exercise that this is our purpose, this is our path, this is our gift, and all these things that human design, astrology, personal development that can teach you what that is. Um, but it's like, because like when I look back at my life, I'm like, I've always been this way, quote unquote, but
Different.
but I've cultivated it by choice after choice after choice after choice. And what I mean different, right, is like we come in like with DNA, like an imprint, blueprint, like the projector thing, right? Like that doesn't mean we're all the same, but it's like you have like this special DNA, and then it's like you get to choose to awaken it, to cultivate it, to invest in it, to be free. um and for me, this is a really cool conversation to almost like study you, right? As far as just like, and I think it's fascinating with the whole fear piece for you, is that you don't have much of it. Did you have, so when you were talking about being, the bitch in high school, did you have fear then
A
as a
hundred
kid at all?
percent. So much fear.
Mm-hmm.
Always fear of like not being good enough, fear of not being like cute enough, fear of not being cool enough, fear of not having the coolest car, the coolest parents, being the best, like not having the
Mm.
coolest clothes, not having the most money. Like just literally it was only fear.
And that one moment was just gone.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Do you know what a walk-in is?
No. Is that
So
what happened?
did you feel like a different person?
Yeah, totally.
So it's like, so WALKIN, a walk-in,
Hmm.
which means like, as far as like
You can
in,
get weird. You can get as woo as you want.
so, oh, we're about to go. We're going in right
Okay.
now. um
Don't have any fear about freaking me out.
so it's essentially like, do you know how like we have different fractals? Do you know what that word is?
Mm-mm.
Sweet, I'll tell you some things after this, but like, so essentially like your highest version of yourself, right? We technically are all fractals of God, right? Of the highest source. Like when you go up into like far enough, if, I mean, time technically doesn't exist in that form, but right, as far as like we are all fractals of each other, like we're all split off of source. And so, so I'm the whole walk-in point is because you are now experiencing like a higher version of that fractal, or your highest self. And this might not be exactly correct, but I know some spiritual peeps will know out there, is that it's like a more full, or possibly the most or the highest version of you is like now it enters your human body.
Oh my God, that's so cool. Why? Because I was open at that point in time.
I don't know, like, so
I
I've,
was very open at that point.
maybe, so it's like it doesn't happen to everyone, right? Where it's, but it's essentially, it's like, because you know how, do you know how people can like channel certain angels or certain
Yeah.
entities, right? So it's like when you're channeling, because those things, it's coming through you, but it's like instead of just channeling it, it's almost like enters your human body now.
Oh my God, that makes so much sense.
So I'm not sure, right? But that happens with sometimes people later in life. Sometimes that happens with near death experiences, where it's like where someone literally seems like someone different. It's because it's almost like it's not a new soul from my perspective. There's technical terms to it, but for me, it just seems like the quote unquote new you or the highest version of you is almost like entering.
Yeah, I align with that for sure. I think that it makes so much sense. I mean, I'm so different from that one experience.
So, because I look at like your demeanor and I wouldn't be surprised, right? Because I imagine even your personality changed.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's so, Google that or
I mean,
research
I'm
it.
still weird, but I'm not scared of being weird anymore, you know? I'm
Because
not
I,
like that weird, but
because if your personality changes like almost with like a snap of the fingers, and you go from like crazy, worried, fearful, trying to please everyone all the time, to just like calm and like centered, and you know who you are. That's pretty rare.
craziest thing.
That's
I don't
cool.
know how else to explain it.
I love that. This is fun. So what
Yeah.
other so what other experiences have you so when you follow your intuition, are
Shit
you
happens. It's so crazy.
huh?
People will tell me that all the time. They're like, Helen, when I'm with you, the weirdest things happen.
Mm,
Like the Emma Watson thing, for example. Like that was
mm,
so bizarre. And like last weekend or 2 weekends ago, I was in Atlanta and um I was like going out with my friends. It was the day after what we talked about on before this happened.
mm.
And I ended up at Jamie Foxx's house for like 8 hours. Like, what the fuck is going on? Like it
When
was
was
just
this?
the
This
this
was
was 2 weeks ago.
was this in Atlanta or LA?
Yeah, in Atlanta.
Okay.
Like met him at a bar and we all started dancing and then we just went over there for 8 hours. It was crazy. And
Such a
like
Jamie Foxx story too.
yesterday, I'm on the plane coming back from Antigua and I get like the cheapest seat in the back of the plane and I sit next to the VP of Airbnb and he like is
What?
mentoring me for 2 hours. It's
Wait, what?
crazy shit happens.
And he's sitting in the back of the plane?
Yes. Yes.
That's impressive on his end too.
I know. And just I don't know. I feel like when I am doing my highest self, like stuff like that happens a lot.
Mm,
And the universe is, I don't know, inspiring for me.
that's so cool. What other? That's crazy. Yes, he. And I think. Well, I know it's.
Oh, this is another
Oh,
cool
go.
one.
I love it.
Okay, so I make my mood boards on Pinterest, and there's been two companies that I always, or actually three companies that I repost constantly. Like I don't even post like marketing material from any other company except for these three. Recess, which is like a CBD drink,
Mm,
and Clever Blends, which is like a coffee drink, and like Cha Cha Matcha. And I would always make them my brand mood boards and like I hope to be like this one day. And then when I'm out in Malibu last summer, I was in the RV with a friend in Malibu and we walk into a hat store because it looked really cute. And I meet the owner and we like immediately click. She's adorable and she invites us over to her house that night. And the fucking founder of Recess is there. I'm like,
what?
I'm dead. You're my role model. You have no idea how much I'm obsessed with you.
Wow.
It's just things like that happen. And I came from nothing. Like I truly came from nothing. I had $300 in my bank account when I started Blender Bombs.
So this is really cool. I think this is such a good example because it's not about how to be like Helen. It's about how to be like yourself.
For sure. Straight up. Projector life. You know who else you should interview is Anna
Mm.
Grace Newell.
Okay, you have to tell me later about it.
She's a projector and she's an influencer and she's so authentically herself as well.
That's so yeah, this is good. Like it's so fun to have like these conversations because which is weird, right? Because it's like because I've wanted to talk to you, but for whatever reason, it just felt right now.
Mm.
And like it wouldn't have happened exactly like this, and even from going from like the businessy stuff, which to me isn't businessy, that's still life. Do
Mm-hmm.
you view, and on that note, do you view your life, like your business, as an extension of your life?
Yes, for sure.
Because tell me how you resonate with this. Like, I just how I view it is like I get paid to be me.
Yeah, like I am Blender Bombs
Yeah,
for sure.
but it's almost, but you don't. I can tell you don't over identify or attach your identity and worth to it, though.
No, no, not at all. I mean, I'm not going to be blender moms forever. Like I hope to get acquired one day and someone else can be blender moms. But then
Uh-huh.
I'll go do something else. The smoothie bar or like tipsy spritzers or something like that.
Which
As
is,
long as it's a creative outlet that I enjoy and that actually is like helping people. That's what matters. Like that's what's fulfilling, not just to me, but to people. Like you get the most fulfillment when you're doing something for someone else.
I love it. Do you watch Marvel movies at all?
No, I've watched some. I actually met Ross Butler at Jamie Foxx's house
Huh?
and Megan Good.
Look
They
at
were
this.
so
Isn't that
cool. She
wild?
gave me a tarot card.
What? For real?
Yeah, I have it right here on my phone.
Isn't that interesting? Yeah, it's like these
I didn't know who they were. I had no idea. I've never seen them before.
just
And
their names.
then, no, I didn't know. Like, as we were all leaving, we exchanged Instagrams, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, why do you have 8 million followers? Who are you? And he was like, oh, Ross Butler was like, oh, I'm in a superhero movie. I'm like, what do you do? And he's like, I have lightning powers. I'm like, all right, cool. That's awesome.
That's so funny. I love that. Um,
But Marvel movies continue.
yeah, but why I asked is because in the third Thor, um, so Thor is, a good one, shout out. But because his quote unquote superpower, how he has a hammer, right? So that the hammer of Thor, but in the villain for the first time ever that they thought it was impossible, the villain destroys his hammer, like literally crushes it with her bare hand.
Oh my
So
God, sad.
it's sad. And they're like, oh, well, like, oh shit, like, what are we gonna do? But his dad dies. There's a whole plot, and so yeah, spoiler alert. But um, as he's about to die, and he flashes back to. It's interesting, even watching these movies, like everything is just a parallel to me now of quote unquote reality or the Matrix. But it's like
Hmm.
he flashes back, to or astrally travels or whatever you want to call it. Like
Yeah,
he's with his dad again,
astro traveling.
right? He's with his dad. And technically that's even what they're doing in Thor with the whole Rainbow Bridge, but whatever, that's I love it. We're getting nerdy. But it's like in that moment with his dad, he's Thor's about to get defeated and he's like, "Dad, I can't beat her. She's too strong. I don't have my hammer." And he's like, "Thor, like the hammer doesn't make you strong." He's like, the hammer is just the vessel which to channel your power through.
Oh
And
shit.
at that moment, he just like, all the thunder comes in his body. So instead of channeling it through his hammer, it comes through his body now.
Oh my God.
And so it's actually right is like just those subtle things that you can apply is like, and then he, destroys her, saves the world, all the fun stuff. But it's why I bring that is because a lot of people attach their identity to like this business is me, this
Yeah.
relationship is me. Even technically, this body is not really us, but it is us. It's both. It's the duality, non-dualism thing. But so I just thought that's cool. Is like, but he literally, is using his power like for the first time
Wow.
ever. And so I just thought that was cool. Is like it's very relatable to what you're talking about.
Wow. That makes so much sense. I gotta go watch the third Thor.
It's the best one. It's really funny too.
Good. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I totally feel like even if Blender Bombs is gone one day, like I'll still be me.
Helen, this is important. Thank you for talking about this.
Yeah. I hope Blender Bombs is gone one day. I really do hope someone buys it. I can't
Mm,
be doing this forever. I'll get burnt out.
interesting. What is your maybe not the word advice or guidance or just whatever you want to call it to people to know themselves or to be aligned with their truth and their highest selves because it's all different. But how did you personally, I know you mentioned like a ton of personal development, but
Yeah.
what else have you been able to like attune that alignment and get aligned with like intuition and like all the things? I think for me, while you think about it, the one thing I've noticed in you in this short time is what we talked about at the beginning of the amount of mistakes that you're okay making because they aren't really mistakes. To me, it's that's how you get to know yourself. That's how you find out what you like. That's how you find out what you don't like. And so you aren't constricted by this belief of failure or mistakes or perfectionism. So it's because your freedom is in that,
Yeah.
and that's to me how I see it. But I'm curious what you see and feel.
I just feel like people, I think there's a lot of things. I mean, to me, the most important thing is taking action. A
Mm,
lot of times it's people get stuck in their own heads.
yep.
They can't get out of their own way. They want to be XYZ, but they don't take action. And what I've found is like a lot of times you need someone to help you take action, whether it's a therapist or a life coach or a best friend or a significant other, like an
Mhm.
accountability person. If you try over and over again to take action and there's something stuck in the way, I love therapy, like accountability, that really helps me.
Cool.
But also I just think it's really important, like where you spend your time. Again, that's another action step. Like, where are you spending your time and your energy, and who is it with? Because I do believe that there is something or someone out there like watching over you, and if they see you doing X, Y, and Z, like they'll hook it up.
This is cool because it really is. You are displaying the everything, the all,
Hmm.
the this and that, the in between, and the nothing. And what I mean by that is like you talk about like action, right? Is like you still got to do the thing because you can.
Hmm.
I've worked with people as like they literally know everything, but they still don't do it. They
Oh
can
my
talk
God.
about it. They can logically conceive everything, but it's not embodied. Like it's not. They're not being the thing. And so it's just cool to hear you talk about. It's just how it's like ever. It's just like all inclusive.
But even what I said, like that's not going to apply. That's not going to work for someone who
Yep.
still has fear.
Yep.
I can repeat myself in 5 times, but no
Mm-hmm.
one's gonna do anything if they still are like fearful about something. So that's when they have to come to you, and you can be their mentor, or you can be their like catalyst.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people, they're not people aren't gonna be able to do it themselves most of the time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like I mean, I believe sure, like for me is like I love working with people, but it's like I don't believe that you need to, right? I don't believe that anyone
Okay.
needs to be fixed. I don't. It's like I'm not like a guru or whatever, right? It's like it's to me all I call it a remembering is like all I really do is ask you questions and yeah, like hold you accountable. But it's really and it's I feel like this you do this as a leader too is that you make it safe to feel fear and it's safe to make a mistake. It's safe to be you. But a lot of people, because you mentioned parasympathetic, which I think is cool too, because that's all that is. People, because you can rely,
Safety.
yeah, it's safety. It's safety is everything, but people don't feel safe literally to be themselves.
No one does. And if I was working in a corporate job like I did for a few months, 9 to 5, I cried every day during lunch. Like I didn't feel safe. So
Mm,
it is your environment too. Like you've got to I just feel lucky because I was able to create a safe environment for myself. And majority of people don't have that. So
how,
that's where it's hard. I wouldn't even know what to say to someone who like doesn't have a choice.
but do they not have a choice?
They do. I think baby steps is always a
Yeah.
good thing. Like one step at a time, like one foot in front of the other, and then it becomes a domino effect. It's like compound interest. Like
Yes.
you take a few little baby steps, and then all of a sudden you're like, whoosh,
Have you
and
read the
you figure it out.
Have you read the Compound Effect?
No, I haven't. I will read that too. What are the two books I have to read? The Compound Effect and what was the other
The
one?
Surrender Experiment.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it's funny you talk. So that's what the compound effect is, right? Is like how it's like compound interest. Your habits or choices are the exact same. Um, damn it, I was gonna ask something. What were we talking about before that?
I think you were going to go into something about what to say to someone like for with if they have fear of not taking action.
Mm, well,
Or at least I'm hoping you'd say something like that.
it was someone. Yeah, I guess it was just. Yeah, like I can't remember exactly, but yeah, just to echo you. Yeah, if anything is in the way, I mean it's fear.
Yes, and also just like I do believe that you do become the people that you hang out with and surround yourself with. So like the podcasts you listen to, the TV
Mm-hmm.
shows you watch, the movies you watch, like those are also the people you spend the most time with. So that's why I think it would be important for people to listen to your podcast or like similar podcasts, because the more you hear and take action about not having fear, like you'll have less fear over
Yeah,
time.
it really it's just a habit.
Hmm.
That's it's just it's like a practice. It's like anything else. Um, I literally just remembered, then I forgot again.
Oh
I for,
shit.
um, damn it.
It's gotta come to you.
I know I wanted to close it up, wrap it up with this. Is like the choice thing. Is yes, like we all have different circumstances. Like we've all come into this earth differently, right? But it's like, yes, but we also have choices every single day, right? And I was just in a retreat. I hosted a retreat. You mentioned Sedona. That would have been dope if you ran into Emma Watson
I
in Sedona.
know.
But we were in Sedona, and this girl, she actually told this really cool story of how when she was first diagnosed with depression. And this girl, this was a crazy story. Like she had $800 in her bank account. The retreat, is like $2,500, and she asked on social media for people to like for support, and it happened
Aw.
all within a week. She like,
Dude, people just have to ask. Like that's how
uh-huh.
we got into Whole Foods. I asked on my Instagram story if anyone knew someone corporate at Whole Foods, and within 2 hours, I had an email from someone in corporate being like, "Hey, come fly down and pitch. We saw your post."
Wow.
Like I'm telling you, you just have to. That asking is taking an action step.
Oh, Helen, that's good. Say that one more time. That's really good.
Asking is taking an action step.
Ooh, that's beautiful.
Boom.
That is a boom. And yeah, she was talking about when she was diagnosed with depression, that her family treated her as that, like that became her identity.
Oh my God.
So I have a podcast episode called like the fear of feeling good and the fear of being healed. And a lot of the time this is the case, is that ironically you feel safe in depression, because
Aw.
when that becomes your identity, and why I'm talking about this is relating it back to the choice where you, like, for some people, like she had a belief that she discovered at the retreat, is that she will not be loved if she's not depressed, right?
A
And
lot of people
so
feel that.
yeah, as like it could be so many things, right? Is you get enforced in a certain way, right? And it's not wrong of the family, of course. It's like we are going to love you more for being like for being diagnosed as depressed, right? But it's like, but then that's how you get validation, that's how you get attention, that's how you get acceptance, that's how you get love. So you literally have a fear of not being depressed because you subconsciously believe that you will not be loved.
Oh my God, what do people need to do?
That's the question. Yeah, it's a gradual. I mean, you could, go to a retreat or something immersive, like to
Love a
like
retreat.
to break that loop, right? Because that's all that is, and like enter. Like for me, it's not even like in to me when quote unquote my work, right? Is like I just view myself as an instrument, and like my will
Yeah.
is the divine will, but and or it's just like anyone can do it. Is like you just have to, once you, like, someone probably just heard that and they've realized something like, oh, I've been getting love in this way, in this habit or belief that's not serving me. And so it's like, oh, then I just tell myself it's actually more helpful. First, it isn't true that I will only receive love if I'm depressed. That's not true. It's not really helpful. It's actually keeping me depressed and unhappy. And then and so many other things that are attached to that. And then it's just like, I just ask like, what do I want to believe? And then you can go back to the root of like where you formed this belief. And to me, it's like what we talked about of bringing like the logical, like it's super simple, but then you bring it into your body, into your feeling, into your knowing, into your soul, um,
Mm.
through practical integration, which what you talked about with action is such a big thing. So it's a whole bunch of different things. But Helen, this is incredible. I appreciate you so much. So I know we're wrapping up, but I wanted to tell you something. One of your crazy things happened since just being in your energy field. Want to know?
Yeah. I'm like,
So I pulled
like,
up in. So yeah, because you because your phone died, and so I wanted to make sure. Oh, like just in case she needs to message me on Instagram or something, I pulled it up. Guess what the first post that's on the feed's about?
Smoothies.
Mm, that would be cool, but this is even cooler. What is a walk-in soul?
No way.
So I
You
sent
have to
it to
send
you.
it.
So the Google search definition of a walk-in is someone whose original soul has departed from their body. With the body vacant, a new different soul can now quote unquote walk in. When a walk-in soul incarnates into a full-grown body, they are said to engage with life differently because they do not receive childhood conditioning.
No shit.
Yeah, that's
That's
crazy.
me.
That is crazy.
Wait, that just gave me full body chills.
There you go.
What a note to end on. Will you send that to me?
Yeah, I already did.
That's really cool. That's
That
really
is really
cool.
cool.
That doesn't happen out of nowhere.
Nope. All right, Helen. Well, I know it's time to go. We appreciate you. We love you. Thank you. Like seriously, this was, I mean, I have no expectations, but it's man, this was so fun.
It really
You
was
gotta
so fun. It's like one of my favorite podcasts I've ever done.
good.
It's
I
why they're
love
so
that.
surface level.
Good. When tell people where to connect with you on a human soul level.
Yes, so at Helen Hall on Instagram, at Blender Bombs if you want smoothies. But yeah, just DM me whenever. Any questions, no questions off limits. Safe
Love.
space.
Save space. Well, thank you, Helen. We appreciate you.
Thank you guys so much. You're the best. We'll keep in touch.